nationally renowned speaker and talk about would she grace us with her presence as one of our presenting speakers and trying to fit us into the schedule since our big payment schedule isn't quite what her corporate customers pay her for speaking engagements. But very happy to present Janet Breitenbach is a partner at Novus Global, an executive coach, keynote speaker for teams and leaders. She's also on the faculty as a trainer and coach at the Meta Performance Institute for Coaching, where she trains people how to coach, build a thriving practice. Her clients consist of leaders at Nike, Netflix, C-suite executives at Fortune 500 companies, CEOs of rapidly growing startups, and award-winning producers and writers in the entertainment industry. As a keynote speaker and workshop presenter, she uses strategic insight and powerful questions to get people unstuck. So she's looking for more local speaking gigs so she can stay home and give back to the community in Kansas City instead of spending all her time on an airplane.
Yeah, tired of flying.
So
yeah.
Please join me in welcoming Janet.
All right, thank you. Yeah. All right, it's always a little awkward after your bio is read. Yeah, look at me, everyone. All right, so my name is Janet Breitenbach. I live in downtown Kansas City now. I love it. I'm here with my husband, Ryan. My husband, Ryan's sister, is in the crowd, and I'm so excited about that, Alicia. I'm so excited to talk to you today. At Novus Global, we work with all kinds of companies, teams, leaders in different industries. We actually also have a sport division as well. So we have Novus Global Sport, where we also work with sports organizations and professional athletes. And we use a lot of the same tools with professional athletes that we do with CEOs, executives, and their teams. So, normally when I come talk cold to just the general public, I usually talk about vision. In fact, you've probably been to a talk like this where an executive coach talks about vision, because vision is really important. But I wanted to do something a little different because I don't usually get to talk about the other stuff. Like, what about, okay, once you clarify your vision, how do you get there? And how do you get out of your own way? And what if you're working so hard that you end up burning out? So I'm going to give to you today a couple of our favorite tools that we give to our clients, some of which I usually don't give till day 2 of a long 2-day training after I've already primed the room and I've seen how coachable the room is. But I feel like you guys are up for it. You guys up for that? All right, cool. So first, 90 seconds, go ahead and pull out your phone really quick. I know that's the last thing a speaker should ever do because then you might get stuck on Instagram. But go ahead and pull out your phone. I'm going to have you do something really quick. And I want to pull out the Venmo app. If you don't have Venmo, maybe Cash App, maybe PayPal. Go ahead. Yeah, it's okay. I see trepidation in everyone's faces. I want you to find me on there. My @ is Janet Lee B. And I want you to go ahead and Venmo me $1,000. I don't know what's so funny, but no? You guys not going to do it? All right, that's fine. You don't have to do that. But I want you to pretend that you just Venmo me $1,000 for the next 45 minutes, and I want you to pretend and ask yourself, how would I show up for the next 45 minutes? How would I engage? How would I fully participate? How would I actively listen in order to create as much value as I possibly can for the next 45 minutes? Now, good news, this is not $1,000, so you're off the hook there. But that's how I want to invite you to show up. There's a lot of statistics that show if you pay $200 for a gym membership, you're more likely to go than if you pay $25. Now, there are some of you that will still never go, even if you're paying $200 for your membership. That's okay. That's another story. So, because we're not going to spend too much time on vision, at the very least, I want you to take the next 90 seconds to bring to the forefront of your mind a vision that you have for your life. This can be a goal. This could be an outcome that you have for the end of 2025. What year are we in? 2025. But first, I want to actually give you my favorite definition of vision. Now, I know you all don't have notebooks. I see some notebooks, actually. If you have some way of taking notes, I actually want to invite you to write down our favorite definition of vision. If you have a phone, maybe you can pull up the Notes app. Our favorite definition of vision is it's a picture of the future that produces passion within you. Vision is a picture of the future that produces passion within you. So the next couple of tools that I'm going to give you only really are helpful and worth it if you actually have a vision, a clear, thrilling, measurable, specific vision that you're going after. Maybe you have a certain revenue target this year or an income target. Maybe you want to launch or publish your book or launch that program. Maybe you want to find a new job. Maybe you want to scale your team. Whatever that is, I want to invite you to either bring it to the forefront of your mind or write it down briefly, because I want you to have that in the forefront of your mind as we're going through these tools. Okay, does everyone have something? Yeah? Anyone not have something? Okay. All right, I'm trusting that. All right, so oftentimes when we go to work with teams and leaders, one of the things we'll say is we're here to help you get more done in less time with higher satisfaction. Raise your hand if you would like that. Okay, great. So more done, I usually don't like that because I'm already doing so much. I might be exhausted, but if I can get more done in less time, that starts to get a little bit more appealing. And some people still get a lot done in less time, but they hate their life. So we want you to have higher satisfaction, all right? More done in less time with higher satisfaction. That's the name of the game. So if you're thinking about this topic and you're like, Janet, I don't experience burnout, then I want that to be your bullseye for today. More done in less time with higher satisfaction. Now, the tricky thing about burnout, it's a buzzword that's been thrown around a lot these days, is that often most people don't realize that they're burnt out until it's too late. Anyone experience burnout? Yeah. Anyone currently burnt out? No. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. I'm glad you're here. I feel ya. Yeah, and it's a lot of times for high performers, which I imagine that most people in this room might identify yourself as a high performer. You're here, you're eager, you're ready to go, you want to meet other people, you're not sitting on your couch at home, you're ready to achieve some impossible things, is that oftentimes the signs of burnout can be really tricky. So just for fun, I'm going to put up some signs of burnout so that you can begin to identify it, because sometimes you can't overcome burnout if you don't know that you're burnt out. So here's some signs of burnout. If you're having feelings of overwhelm, if you're starting to regret things you've said yes to, if you find yourself wondering why you said yes to things you should have said no to, if you feel like I'm the only one who can get this done right. Anyone ever feel any of this? Yeah? Okay, great. Some other signs. If you're feeling emotional exhaustion, increased irritability, this is starting to sound like a drug commercial, a new prescription drug commercial. Lack of motivation, cynicism or detachment, or you're feeling just overall less effective. If you're feeling this right now, it's no problem, right? It's usually when it's chronic. Usually, the last thing we want is to put more on our plate. The last thing we want is to create a vision for the future that seems impossible because, Jana, I've got enough on my plate. I don't want to do this. So we're going to talk through two primary things that can be helpful for not only getting out of burnout, but getting more done in less time with higher satisfaction. So first, I'm going to invite you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, okay? On a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you keep your word to others? You can write down the number or just bring it to the forefront of your mind. So, out of curiosity, raise your hand if you said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I got a 6 there. 7. Okay, 8, 9, 10. Any 10s in there? Oh, we got some 10s. All right, cool. So great. So how well do we keep your word to others? Now, we do this all the time. When I have my clients, oftentimes one of the primary things that my job is with my clients is to hold space for them to turn up the dial, so to speak, on how often they're keeping their word to others. Now, oftentimes, as human beings, we love to inflate that number. So whatever your number is, take 3 away. Okay? And that's most likely your real number. Because as you can imagine, what do you think happens when I start working with someone and they start to write down all of their commitments? Do the amount of commitments they see broken increase or decrease? They increase almost always, right? So no problem, right? And we absolutely want to take away any shame, guilt, or anything around this. It's just an assessment to reflect on how well do we do this. So I want to talk about this idea of integrity. So oftentimes when we bring this word into the space, people have bring the definition of that's moral to integrity, like you're a good person. If you're a good person, you're a person of integrity. But I actually want to introduce a different way of thinking about integrity when it comes to your word. If a bridge lacks integrity, do you want to drive over it? No. Great. Actually, let me ask that. If a bridge lacks integrity, do you want to drive over it? Okay, thank you. All right, we're turning up the dial on our engagement. All right, great. If a bridge lacks integrity, you probably don't want to drive over it. So we're going to use the word workability with integrity, right? If something is workable, it has high integrity. So the same goes for, let me see if I have this next. I'm going to give you this definition. Doing what you say you're going to do by when you say you are going to do it. One of the easiest ways to start getting more done in less time with higher satisfaction is to turn up the dial on how often you do what you say you're going to do by when you say you're going to do it. When you think about a bicycle, if a bicycle lacks integrity, usually there's a flat tire, there's a broken chain, you're not going to drive or ride. You can tell I don't ride a bicycle very often. You're not going to ride very fast, right? Most high performers will see like the bike is broken, shut down, flat tire, and they'll just try to pedal faster, so to speak, metaphorically, right? I don't have time to slow down and look at my integrity. I don't have time to do that. I'm just going to pedal faster. But if you've ever had the experience of having a flat tire and then you pump up the tire and then you start pedaling again, it's an incredible feeling. You start to just fly, right? And you start to wonder, oh, now I'm getting more done in less time, because integrity also relates to trust. And when you have high trust with yourself and high trust with others, oftentimes you're getting more done in less time. So this is often what we look like when we are out of integrity with ourselves. Right? When I don't do what I say I'm going to do. So I'm going to give you a quick example. So about 10 years ago, I found myself, I was sitting on my bed in a bedroom that I shared with my mom in a small, tiny 2-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles. I had been recently divorced. I was in debt, and I was absolutely lost and confused as to what was next, because I felt like there was a ceiling. I felt that there was more available to me, but I didn't know what that was or how to get there. So I actually went to a talk very similar to this 45-minute talk, where there was an executive coach. And afterwards, I talked to him. I decided to hire this coach. And I was sitting there on my bed, excited. I was like, this guy is going to help me figure out my life. This guy is going to tell me what to do. He's going to help me achieve all my dreams that I've been wanting, and I don't know why I can't get there. I'm thrilled. The call's supposed to start at 1 o'clock. And about 10 minutes before, I think to myself, am I supposed to call him or is he supposed to call me? I shrug it off. And then at about 1:02, I decided, I'm just going to call him. And he picks up the phone and he says, hey, Janet, do you realize you have a broken commitment? And I remember, oh yeah, I signed an agreement saying I commit to being on time for all my coaching calls. But of course, I was extremely defensive and indignant. I was like, this is not why I hired this guy. Why is he asking me about that? It doesn't matter. This is the first call. Every single story and excuse I had, I am on time for everything. He doesn't know me. But I hid all that, right? So I said to him, well, I didn't know if I was supposed to call you or you were supposed to call me. And he said, great. How could you have found out if I was supposed to call you or you were supposed to call me? And I said, and immediately I came up with 4 possible ways. I said, well, I guess I could have texted you ahead of time. I guess I could have asked. I guess I could have called you on time and then asked you what we needed to do in the future. And I was a little shocked and embarrassed at how many other options were available to me, but that my mind just decided to delete. And he said, awesome. So what stopped you from texting me or asking me ahead of time if I was supposed to call you or you were supposed to call me? And to this day, the reason I'm telling the story is that moment and my answer was burned into my memory. Because I said, well, And I'm grateful that I was willing to be vulnerable and honest about my answer. I said, well, I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing. This was someone who I respected, who I was really excited about. He was referred to me. He was someone that I admired, and I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing by asking him, am I supposed to call you, or are you supposed to call me? And then he asked, Janet, where else does that show up in your life, that you're unwilling to ask for help or look bad for the sake of keeping your word? Everywhere. I said everywhere. I see that all the time. I'm often intimidated by leadership, and I started to see all these areas in my life in which that 2 minutes late revealed some of the most transformative blind spots that changed the rest of my life. And I began to love finding out where I had a broken commitment. I began to love knowing, like, oh, where am I out of integrity? Where am I out of commitment with my word? So the other part of the definition of integrity, as soon as you know you will not be doing what you say you're going to do, letting the appropriate parties know. I think we've all been there where maybe someone's committed to something and they let the deadline pass and they wait. And then it's long after the deadline and they say, oh yeah, by the way, I'm sorry. Sorry, I didn't do that, right? But oftentimes our conscious alerts us and we ignore it. We make these reasons why. Like, oh, maybe I'll be able to do it at fill in the blank with unsober time. I'll do it tonight. I'll stay up late. I'll get up early. I'll do it when the kids go to bed, right? Like all these reasons. And just because we want to con ourselves into thinking I'm going to do it instead of alerting all parties involved. And the last part of the definition is cleaning up whatever mess is made as a result. Because inevitably you are going to break your word, right? Oh, and you know what? Before I started this whole conversation about integrity, I did mean to bring up this or encourage you to drop any shame or judgment. And this is actually the only way that it works. When a bike is broken with a flat tire and a broken chain, we don't look at it and go, bad bike, how dare you? You should feel ashamed of yourself for being out of integrity. We don't, right? Like we go, we just need to slow down, take a moment, get back in alignment with our integrity, and then keep moving so that we can move forward. The best way to get in your own way when it comes to turning up the dial in your integrity is to bring shame into the conversation. And so often we bring shame into the conversation. So my request is, as I'm talking about this, if you feel the shame, no problem, just notice it and just throw it to the side. As soon as you leave this room, you can bring the shame back if you like, but just for the sake of the next 40 minutes, please drop the shame. So cleaning up whatever mess is made as a result. Sometimes that means as simple as acknowledging it. Hey, I want to acknowledge I told you I would send you that proposal by Friday, and I totally didn't. Was there any impact there? How can I restore trust with you? Imagine if everyone on your team was doing that. Imagine the levels of trust that you would have on your team. I've been using the phrase turn up the dial. Oftentimes when we think about integrity, we think of it as a light switch, like it's on or off. We have integrity or we don't, right? I actually want you to think about a volume knob. Every single person in this room has integrity. The name of the game is just turning up the dial on your integrity. In fact, there's a book titled The Speed of Trust. You don't even have to read it. All you have to do is listen to the title to understand how valuable teams and yourself towards your vision will go when trust is high. Self-trust is high. Trust with others is high. How are we doing out there? I'm seeing some faces shake. Okay, yeah? Okay, cool. All right, there's an important distinction here. Oftentimes, the reason why sometimes we can get out of integrity is we're confusing things that we're interested versus things that we're actually committed to. This is right away, this is an exercise that you can do on your own. Maybe you can even do it with your family, you can do it with your team, and you can start to put a list together of what are the things that we keep saying, oh, we gotta do that, we gotta do that, we gotta do that. And it's time to put it in the interested list and admit to ourselves we're not actually committed to this at this time. This is super valuable. This will eliminate shame. This will eliminate shoulds, like, oh, we should be working on that. Man, I should really be finishing that book that I was writing. We should really be focusing on 5 different initiatives, even though really, in a sober way, you only have time for 3. This is an easy, quick way to get out of breaking your word. Okay, I had you rate yourself on how well do you keep your word to others. Now I'm going to say, how well do you keep your word to yourself? Scale of 1 to 10. Think of a number. Now, raise your hand if the first number is higher than this number. Okay, that is interesting. And actually, I'm just going to throw this one out to y'all. What do you think is interesting about that? What do you notice about that? Someone can just shout it out.
Everyone was easier to raise their hand.
That's true. Everyone was, yep, right away. Yeah, what else? What do you guys notice about that? People pleasing. Yep, maybe we're doing something for others we're not doing for ourselves. Yeah, what else? Self-critical. Yeah, absolutely. Anything else? Lacks integrity. Yeah. Well, here's what's interesting about our internal world when it comes to integrity. It doesn't really know the difference. If you're breaking your word to others or to yourself, it's still a chink in your self-trust. And this is often a quick and easy way to get in your own way to achieving impossible things. Because every time you break a commitment, you fracture your own confidence that you'll keep a commitment in the future. This happens in small, almost subconscious ways. I imagine many of us in this room at one point or another have made New Year's resolutions. How many of you have kept all of your New Year's resolutions? No one is raising their hand. Okay, great. And no problem, right? So oftentimes, what happens when we continue to break our word? Go ahead and shout it out. Makes it easier the next time. Absolutely. Like all of January, I'm going to do no fast food. And then it's January 4th and I'm rushing and I drive by Chick-fil-A and it's a Monday, not a Sunday. So I'm really happy about that. And I decide, you know what, it's fine just this once. But then I say, but not the rest of the month. And then Saturday comes along and I have friends that call me and they're in town and they say, meet us at Chick-fil-A. And I'm like, sure, why not? I already broke my word last week, so it doesn't matter, right? So every time we break our word to ourselves, we're fracturing our own confidence that we can keep a commitment in the future. So here's a few quick things. So because this is all part of the first tool. So turning up the dial on your integrity is one of the best ways to get more done in less time. So one, where does your word live? I can't tell you how many times, and I work with very talented, intelligent executives, and they'll say on the call, yes, I'm going to have that conversation this week with that direct report. I'll say, great. Would you like to capture that? Oh, yeah. And whether it's Asana, whether it's on a piece of paper, where does your word live? Oftentimes we avoid writing things down. We keep it all in our head. Use the power of renegotiation. This is a big one. Oftentimes people think that it's binary. You either keep your word or you break your word. There's this beautiful thing called the art of renegotiation, which means as soon as you know that you won't be able to keep your word, reaching out to all parties involved. Now, renegotiating requires a request. I've had this conversation, in fact, with one of my clients this week, where she keeps saying, oh, I renegotiated with my team. I was like, show me your email to your team. And it's like, hey, I'd like to renegotiate my commitment. I won't do it by Friday. I'll do it by Monday. It's like, that's not renegotiating. It involves a question mark. It involves a response, right? So renegotiating means making a vulnerable request. Hey, I know I said I was going to get that to you by Friday, but this came up. Would it be okay if I sent it to you by Monday? Now you're giving people the opportunity to be involved in that, to problem solve, to figure out how to make sure that the vision is still comes to fruition. So use the art of renegotiation. Oftentimes people avoid this because it can be vulnerable. Invite others into your commitments. I have people who do this when it comes to working out. Like, I have so much trouble getting up in the morning and going on my run, so I'm going to tell my friend to meet me at 8 in the morning so I make it happen. Tell on yourself. We like to say at the firm and with our clients, the person who tells on themselves first wins. The more that you tell on yourself, in fact, we have an internal coaching system, so we all have coaches as well. In fact, never hire a coach that doesn't have a coach. If they don't believe in the power of the space, they're not using it. And with my coach, I'll often, when I'm avoiding something, I'll text them. I'll say, hey, just want to tell on myself, I am absolutely avoiding following through in that commitment I made. And sometimes just by telling on myself, it gives me the energy to follow through. And last but not least, create an interested versus committed list. So let me just pause right here, even though we're doing Q&A at the end, but I want to just check in. Any questions, thoughts, or notices? Yeah. Oh. Let me think about that. I didn't plan that, but I can see what I can do. Absolutely. I have also follow-up resources I can send that can go out, podcast episodes and whatnot. Any other thoughts? Yeah. Ooh, Asana. And I have a love-hate relationship with Asana. But I do love Asana. Yeah.
I like it. A lot of these items for me are linked to accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a used word, and I love how you present all these, like several forms of accountability.
What was that last part you said?
Several forms of accountability.
Yes.
Without using the word accountability.
Yes. Well, here's a phrase that we don't like too much. When people say like, oh, I need you to keep me accountable. I'll have my clients say, I need you to keep me accountable, Janet. I say, I cannot keep you accountable. No one can keep you accountable. No one can keep me accountable. But what I can do is hold a space for my clients to keep an account for themselves, which is radical ownership, right? So, because otherwise people tend to resist that. If it's not my job to say, hey, did you do that, right? And bring shame to the conversation, but I can say, I can check in with them. Hey, do you have any broken commitments? And then I invite them to bring it, tell on themselves, hey, I have a broken commitment. And I'll say, yay, awesome, I'm excited, because we do love broken commitments. We say that actually all the time. We tell our clients that it's not, we're not being facetious. We love broken commitments. And the reason is because often commitments reveal blind spots and their opportunities to grow. But most people won't slow down to even ask those questions. Thank you for asking that. Any other thoughts or questions before I move on to the next part of this? All right, cool. So the next piece. So 1, turn up the dial in your integrity. Another 1 to 10. How well do you receive love? And because a lot of you will try to cheat with this 1 to 10, I'm going to actually give you a scale. When people compliment me, 0 to 3 is deflect, feel guilty, make a joke to feel less uncomfortable, to not occur as arrogant. 4 to 6, say thank you and mean it, but it doesn't have a generative impact. 7 to 10, I let it in so it fills me up. There's a spiritual, psychological, or emotional shift because of the compliment. So raise your hand if you're in the 0 to 3 category. Okay, raise your hand if you're in the 4 to 6 category. Raise your hand if you're in the 7 to 10 category. Wonderful, great. And all of this, remember, it's your own self-assessment. No good, bad, right, or wrong here, but my invitation is just to notice. In fact, we use that word a lot, especially because high performers are often addicted to fixing the problem. They see something that's wrong. I got to fix it. My favorite word, and I would invite you to write this down if you do have a notepad in all caps, is notice. Notice. Slow down enough to just notice and ask yourself, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why I often deflect or feel guilty. What are the beliefs or filters that I have about what it means to celebrate myself or to receive a compliment? So we're actually going to do an exercise. I'm going to skip ahead. Oh, yeah, let's do this. How well do you give love? Scale of 1 to 10. So same as before, I'm going to ask, how many of you is this number higher than the first number? Raise your hand. Great. That's fascinating, right? That's interesting. And my invitation is to just notice that, be curious about that. I wonder why that is. I wonder why I would rate myself higher as giving love to others than a willingness to receive love and to even have little mini celebrations for my wins. So this is an advanced exercise we're about to do, y'all, okay? And usually we do this with teams, so usually we'll have a version where you're first actually acknowledging each other, but I'm gonna give you the slightly more, actually, if we use the metaphor of the gym, think of this like the gym. So and I'm your spotter, and I'm putting a little extra weight on the bar, okay? You guys up for that? Yeah? Anyone like, no? No? Okay, all right, cool. All right, let me read this first. Your capacity to lead and create exponential results without burning out will be proportionate to how well you receive love. And I'll explain a little bit more about that later. I'm actually going to have you do the exercise before I explain the psychology behind it. Okay, I'm going to skip this one because that's the easy one. All right, so what you're going to do in a minute is you're going to practice at your table. And if you don't have anyone, you can like go over there. What you're going to do, you're going to find a partner. And you can do groups of 2 or 3. And you're going to acknowledge yourself for a win, something great that you're proud of over the last 7 days. Okay? Seen some heads, some fear, someone's going like this. Okay. Examples of things to acknowledge: wins, losses, or swings and misses. This is important. Most teams, too, will often only quarterly celebrate the big wins, but they'll forget to celebrate the swings and the misses because, hey, it's a sign that we're actually taking big swings, that we're going after big things. Growth, new milestones, hard conversations that were had or initiated. So this is how it's go. I'm going to give you an easy paint by numbers script here, okay? Person A. So one person will start. So if I'm a group of 2, what was your name again? Rebecca. So Rebecca and I are in a group, and let's say I decide to go first. I'm going to say, I want to acknowledge myself for planning this keynote and performing it. Okay? And then she's going to say, I acknowledge you for that. And then she's going to add some detail, like, hey, I really liked when you said that bad joke. Like, you can say something like that, okay? And then she's going to say, do you receive it? And I'm going to say, I receive it. Now, there's intentionality behind why we're inviting you. And I keep saying we, that's because I'm usually with a group of coaches. I receive it. It's to take hold or to seize. This is that 7 to 10 category where you will let it create a psychological or spiritual effect on you, where you almost like feel yourself kind of get the shivers for a second, right? So I want you to practice this. Now, before we do this, I want to ask you, why do you think we often are tempted to deflect? Just show of hands or shout it out. To deflect. Why do we deflect compliments? What's that? It's uncomfortable. You don't believe it about yourself. Bad luck. Ooh, yeah. It feels show-offy, like maybe arrogant. Yeah. Anything else? What's that? Sorry, what's it?
Fake compliment.
Fake. Oh, yes, absolutely. Fake compliment. And this is such a wonderful practice, especially when this happens in communities, in families, in teams, obviously, when people can begin to learn to be candid with their feedback, suddenly the compliments start to get received. Because if you've ever had the experience where someone's just like gassing you up all the time, oh yeah, you're great, but then there's a part of you that's like, are they being honest with me about the other stuff? And so for now, here's my invitation. Pay attention to what your internal conversation is when it comes to being acknowledged. And I want you to be as specific as possible with your self-acknowledgement. Okay? So not just like, hey, I did a great job last week. Okay? I want you to be really specific. And it may take a moment, and that's okay. This is a muscle that you can strengthen over time, and that your brain will learn over time, if this is a regular practice, to start looking for the wins you're having week to week. Does that make sense? Okay, great. So I'm going to set like a very short timer, maybe like 4 minutes, so you have about 2 minutes each in the pair. If there's a group of 3, just take as much. I'll check in with you guys if you need more time. One person is going to start and volunteer, and you're going to read that. I want to acknowledge myself for, and I really want, even my example was too short. I really want you to say, hey, last week I had a really difficult conversation with someone on my team, and I was courageous in my feedback, and it was hard and it was messy, but I'm proud of myself for doing that. Okay? And the person who's responding is going to say, I'll acknowledge you for that. I acknowledge you for that. Man, I've been there where I had to have a hard conversation, and wow, I don't even know you, but congratulations, right? And then, do you receive it? And then the other person will say, I receive it. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to set a timer for about 5 minutes. Ready, set, go. All right, if you haven't switched, make sure you switch.
To get it down over the last 2 weeks.
One more minute, one more minute. All right, wrap up your conversations if you can. Wrap up your conversations. Oh, go ahead. You guys done? All right, cool. Make sure you say, I receive it. If you didn't say, I receive it, I receive it. All right, let's wrap it up. Let's bring it on back if we can. I receive it. Bring it on back. All right, all right. So let me take the next couple of minutes just to ask, how was that? I want to hear, what did you notice in yourself, either if you were giving it or receiving? What did you notice about that experience? Energetic? Cool. Uncomfortable. Totally natural, yeah. What else?
It was uncomfortable to sit there and hear the compliments, but it energized me to give the compliments.
Oh, I like that. I like that. That's great. Yeah.
The story we tell ourselves. So you can acknowledge, or you can have this negative feedback loop, and it's important.
Yeah.
Like hearing somebody like reframe this for you is like, wow, this is life giving. This is true.
It's life giving. I love that. Thank you. Yeah.
Like the three of us did it. Like you feel good, you feel like that vulnerability's there.
Yeah.
But I felt like they were very sincere and I was very sincere with them. So you just feel good.
That's great. Yeah. Anything else?
Just the confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence to own what the acknowledgement
Yeah.
was.
Like, yeah.
I did.
Yeah, I did that. I did that. Yeah. Great. Love that. Any other? Yeah.
What was your question? Because we were finishing.
Oh, yeah. I apologize.
Was it what did we notice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
One thing I noticed was I had to be very careful listening, both of them, so I could see what I was going to acknowledge them for.
Yeah. Yeah. So it forced you to kind of like listen carefully. Yeah.
Listen, yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's great. Thank you for sharing. Any other thoughts before we go on? Yeah. That was what? That you've been putting off? Oh, interesting. Yes. Yeah. And then what was the energy that was felt after that? You got it done. Yeah, that's great. Congratulations. Yeah. Anything else? All right. So yeah, most times with teams, we have, if you have what's next, most people will focus, they will accomplish something and immediately ask, what's next? What's next? What's next? Most teams do this. We had a deadline. All right, what's next? Or someone will say, hey, congratulations for finally writing that book. And then I'll say, well, but yeah, now I got to like launch it. You know, now I got to get it published. And well, yeah, but now this, now this, now this. And an overemphasis on asking what's next is a great recipe for burnout. Most people will overemphasize or over-index on asking what's next rather than, and I'm just using the word celebrate here to over-encompass the idea of acknowledgments. right? Acknowledging someone is one small, easy, doesn't take much time way to practice celebration. There's lots of ways to celebrate. And by the way, asking what's next is not bad. Everyone needs to ask what's next. But raise your hand if you ask what's next more than you celebrate yourself. Just curious. Okay, great. And that's most rooms I've been in, especially in rooms full of business leaders, owners, entrepreneurs, etc. So again, what's next is not bad, but the name of the game here is to pay attention to what are my beliefs, the stories that I'm telling myself about why I can't celebrate or acknowledge myself or receive the compliment when it comes my way. So, a couple of things. I'm going to summarize the two things we talked about. One, learn to fall in love with finding where you're out of integrity with yourself and turn up the dial on how often you keep your word. Two, learn to celebrate in small ways, receive love when it comes your way, and acknowledge yourself often. One of the most common questions I get after an event like this is, Janet, is this something that you can do with me or my team, or if I'm not a C-suite executive? And the answer is absolutely yes. In fact, we've created a streamlined way for that. This is actually very new, but this QR code leads to an assessment called Accomplish the Impossible Assessment. If you want to take that assessment, I highly, highly recommend it. It's a way to begin this conversation with yourself without a long-term investment or any financial investment. And it's 20 minutes long, which is a little longer than most of the assessments that are out there these days, but it's 20 minutes that could potentially change the next 20 years of your life, career, and your company. It's also paired with a free call with one of our Meta Performance certified coaches that will help you navigate the results, understand the results, and also create concrete next steps for how to get out of your own way of achieving whatever it is you want to accomplish. Oftentimes, you can't do surgery on yourself. So our invitation is to ask for help and have this conversation so you begin to see your blind spots. I want you to imagine a day when you're actually creating client results or getting the revenue you want or the income you want without burning out, without growing exhausted. Imagine a day when someone on your team is coming to you and saying, man, I'm a better person because I work here. Maybe they even leave and they're like, man, that was the best season of my life. Imagine a day when you're feeling peace and joy rather than just trying to get past the next week or the next quarter. So whether you're a solopreneur or you're a CEO who wants to take their team to the next level, this assessment is a great way to just start out there. So maybe you're a little bit like me when I was on that couch having that conversation with my coach, and you might be thinking to yourself, like, man, I just don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. But my encouragement is that the people who are willing to look bad and look like they don't know what they're doing creates the most growth in their life. The people who are willing to turn up the dial in their integrity and look at the uncomfortable moments where they've broken their word to others or themselves create the most trust, self-trust, and trust with others. The people who are willing to celebrate themselves and be vulnerable and invite others into celebration create the most fulfillment. And the people who are willing to ask for help are often the ones who can create exponential results and can explore what they're capable of and turn the impossible into just another Tuesday. Thank you very much.
Everyone hear me? Okay, great. Thank you, Janet.
You're so welcome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for Janet? We have time for a couple.
Do we?
So when we go to the website, the goal is to fill out the questionnaire, and then those answers are submitted, and then
Yep, and I think they literally changed it in the last 24 hours. It used to go straight to the assessment, but then people would lose, like, where did I put that? So yeah, you'll fill out the form, it'll send it to your email so that you can click on it and fill out the assessment. Yeah, anything else?
no.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Part of a much larger presentation or training. What are the other parts?
Yeah. So our 2-day signature Meta Performance training is usually what we do with companies. It's almost like a culture gym. So it's not just presentational, it's more interactive. That's why even in my keynotes, you notice I like to have some more engagement. So you're lifting the weights, you're with your team, you're with your, executive team or whoever, your management team, and you're taking all of our tools, everything from vision, mindset tools, strategy tools, helping you increase the level of integrity, ownership, vision, energy that you have for your team. Yeah. Yeah. Questions?
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah.
When you told your story,
Yeah.
That's when I felt I connected to what you were trying to say.
Oh.
Without the story, it wouldn't have been as meaningful.
Oh, thank you for that feedback.
you.
I receive it. Thank you. Yeah. What's that? I love Kansas City. I love Kansas City. When I invite people to a party, they say, "What can I bring?" instead of maybe I'll see what else is going to happen. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Not taking time to celebrate your victories and looking ahead to what's next all the time instead of really soaking it in for longer than maybe one sentence on an agenda where good job and then it's done after you've accomplished something for 2 or 3 months. So I'm going to take that away from me and really try to focus on some of the celebrations. Part of that wisdom on them. We do have these little boxes. You might have wondered what was up by the name tag. Haley's not with us today, but Haley is with Breitenbach Design. She was gracious enough to donate their Kansas City B2B. They have our URL on them so that you can have, this is a phone stand by your computer. I use mine all the time so that I can dictate from my phone to my computer all the time. We have our URL there so you can see when our next event is, or you can check out who our next speaker is and decide which one you're going to attend and put them on your calendar. So I encourage all of you to take one of these little boxes on the way out there just for us. It's daily. If you need any swag, anything like that, please use Grapevine Design. She's done a great job and it's been a great partner of ours at Kansas City DB. Anything else?
Our next event is July 23rd. So look for that. We tried to send those out a little bit early. We do a lot of this really email follow up, but you can always follow our LinkedIn page. Thanks everybody for coming out. Appreciate it.
Thank you.